Alrighty, in today's video, we're going to be talking about 3.4, which is slope and forms of linear equation. All right, so there's quite a bit of formulas in this section, so let's go through some of them. First one being to find slope, which is usually denoted with the letter M, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, also denoted as the change in y over the change in x. Alrighty. Other than that, the other things you need to know is if you have an equation that's written as y equals c, as we saw in the previous section, this is a horizontal line with a slope of 0. So it looks something like this. So that would be a y equals c situation. If you have an x equals c, it is a vertical line with a undefined slope. And its graph looks more like this. All right, so those are some oddballs. Most of our linear functions will either have a positive slope or a negative slope. And then you'll have some with 0 slope or undefined slope. We have quite a bit of different forms for our linear equations. We have what we call the slope intercept form, which is going to just be y equals mx plus b. It's called slope intercept form because it tells you what the slope is and what the y-intercept is as 0 comma b. Alrighty. Then it gives us a point slope form. This form is useful if given a point and a slope. So it is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. When dealing with point slope form, the y and the x do not change. We just replace the y1, the m, and the x1. And again, very good to have if you were given a point and a slope, and this will help you get back into your slope intercept form. And that's pretty much all of 3.4. So let's definitely get into some practice. So we're going to be on page 189. We're going to look at problem number 2. We have negative 3 comma 2 and 7 comma negative 10. We are just asking this first portion to determine the slope of the line passing through the specific points. So best thing to do is to label your points as x1, y1, x2, y2, and then once you have your equation of y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, you simply just have to plug it in. So we get negative 10 minus 2 and 7 minus negative 3. Negative 2 minus 2 gives you negative 12. Two negatives make a positive, so 7 plus 3 is 10. And then simplify when you can. So this would be simplified by 2, so this would be negative 6 over 5. And there's your slope. All right, let's do some more. Let's look at number 3. Number 3 is 4 comma 5 and negative 1 comma 5. Again, start off by labeling it. So x1, y1, x2, y2. It doesn't actually matter which one you label as x1, y1, and x2 and y2, as long as the 1 stay together and the 2 stay together, it'll still work out because it'll keep your equation balanced. I just like to go from left to right when I label my stuff. All right, so here we go. So this will be now 5 minus 5 over -1 minus 4. So that gives me 0 over -5, which is 0. 0 is an answer you can get. This is not an undefined situation. If 0 is on top, the answer there is 0. And I say that because let's look at number 5. You're given 3 comma -5 and 3 comma 2. So this will be your x1, y1, x2, y2. Plug it in. So this will be 2 minus -5 over 3 minus 3. Two negatives make a positive, so I get 7 over 0. When 0 is on the bottom, this is considered to be undefined. Cannot have 0 on the bottom. All right, so that gives you a good example of every type of slope you can get. A number, a 0, and an undefined number. And this number can be negative and or positive. I say and or positive, can't be both. I'm sorry. All right, let's look at a different set. Let's look at 17. In this set, you're asked to determine the slope of the lines defined by the following equation. So you are given 2x plus 8y equals 11. To find the slope, we need to get it into y equals mx plus b. So to do that, it's usually 2 steps, and it's usually the same 2 steps, but it's not always the case. There could be additions to it. They could try to trick you, but the goal is to get y by itself. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get the x to the other side, as long as the constant's already over there. Can't combine these, but I'm going to write it as -2x plus 11, keeping in mind that I want mx plus b as my format. Then I'm going to divide everything by 8 separately so I can easily identify what my m and my b are. So -2/8 simplifies down to -1/4. 11/8 is still just 11/8. So again, the question says determine the slopes of the line by the following equation. So now that you have it in this form, now you have your answer. So your answer here would be -1/4. All right, let's do another one. Let's look at 19. We are given 4y equals 13. Again, I want to solve for my y, so the only thing I have to do in this situation is just divide by 4. So y equals 13 divided by 4. All right, if we were looking for the slope, remember the equation's y equals mx plus b. I'm looking for the number that's next to the x. I don't have an x. So if I don't have an x, then my m means that it's 0, because 0 times x would be 0, eliminating that x for me. So therefore, there is my slope. All right, let's look at one more. Let's look at 21. 21 says 7x equals 2. In this situation, I don't have a y to solve for, so I'll solve for x. So I'll divide by 7. So I'll get x equals 2/7. If you do not have a y at all in your equation, then this right here would mean the slope is undefined. Pin stop working. All right, so undefined. So this right here again would be something like this. So it makes an undefined slope. All right, so let's look at a different set of questions. Let's look at number 28. Number 28, we have 6x minus 2y equals 4. And we're asked to use the slope-intercept form to graph the equation. So we need to get this into y equals mx plus b, and then use that to help graph the equation. So the first thing I'm going to do is solve for x. So, sorry, solve for y. So I'll subtract my 6x. Can't combine these, so I'll write this as -6x plus 4. Then I'll divide everything by -2. So I get 3x minus 2. So here is my equation. Now I got to use this to graph. So like in the last section, I told you to start off with the y-intercept, which in this case would be 0, negative 2. That puts me here. This right here being the slope. Remember, slope is rise over run. So I would rise 3, and you can always turn a whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1. So I would rise 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then run 1. The way I usually teach my students is if it has a negative, you'll fall. If it's a positive, you'll rise, and then you'll always run to the right just to keep things simple. All right, then from that, it just takes 2 points to make a graph, and now you have a graph. Let's do another one. Let's look at number 29. 29 is 3y plus 2x minus 9 equals 0. Again, I want to get this into y equals mx plus b formatting. So I'm going to actually add my 9 first. Get rid of that constant. Then I'll get rid of my x. Again, I can't actually combine those, so I'm going to leave it as negative 2x plus 9, keeping in mind that I want it in the mx plus b format. Then I'll divide everything by 3. That gives me negative 2/3 x plus 3. And once it's in the slope-intercept form, I'm able to graph this a lot easier. I would start at my y-intercept, which is 0, 3. That's 1, 2, 3. And then this is my slope. So that's my rise over run. So I'm going to fall 2, so 1, 2, and then right 3, 1, 2, 3. So again, if it's negative, I fall, and then I'm always going to go to the right. Just takes 2 points to make a line. So there you go. All right, let's look at 31. 31 says x plus 4y equals 20. Again, keeping in mind of the format that I want. I want to subtract x on both sides. So I get negative x plus 20, then divide everything by 4. There's not a number there. There's an imaginary 1, so I can say negative 1/4 x plus 5. Again, start off with my y-intercepts, which is 0, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this right here will tell me to go down 1, and then I'll run 4. So there we go. All right, let's look at a different type of question. Let's look at number 51. 51, you're asked to find the equation in standard form. Standard form, by the way, if I forgot to do, I think I did it in the last video, but standard form is ax plus by equals c. So it says find the equation in standard form of the line passing through these specific points. So we have negative 1, 3, and 2, negative 1. All right, so for starters, you're going to want to find the slope. So again, this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So this will give me negative 1 minus 3 over 2 minus negative 1. 2 negatives make a positive. So negative 1 minus 3 gives me negative 4, and then 2 plus 1 gives me 3. So now that I have the slope, now I can use the point slope formula, which again is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And I'm just going to plug in my y1s, my m, and my x1. I'm just going to use the first point that I already have labeled. So this will be y minus 3 equals negative 4/3 times x minus a negative 1. So again, notice that this x and this y remained x and y, and I only replaced x1, y1, and my m. Now we're going to clean this up. So we distribute first. Two negatives do make a positive. So negative 4/3 x is just negative 4/3 x. And then negative 4/3 times positive 1 is a negative 4/3. And then last, I will just add 3 to both of my constants. 3 is the same thing as 9/3. So negative 4/3 plus 9/3 would give me positive 5/3. So there is my equation. The issue is I need it in standard form. So now let's go. And what we'll do is we'll then move the x back over. So add 4/3 x. Actually, I tell you what. Let me rewrite it over here so you can see the next part of the work. So now I'm going to add 4/3 x to both sides. But again, keep in mind that I want the x, the y, and the constant. So this will be 4/3 x plus y equals 5/3. All right. Now the issue is A, I believe it's A and B have to be some type of integer. So that means that there cannot be any fractions. So to get rid of the fraction, I'm going to multiply everything by 3. The 3 would cancel here, leaving me with 4x. 3 times y would be 3y. The 3 would cancel here, leaving me with 5. So this would be the proper standard form. All right. The next portion of this one is just a simple word. Well, I'll say simple, is a word problem. Simple to me might not always be simple. All right, so let's look at number 69. It says a bottle manufacturer has determined that the total cost C in dollars of producing X bottles is C equal to 0.25X plus 2100. So they produced the equation for me. So in part A, it says, what is the cost of producing 500 bottles? Now remember, it says that X represents the bottles. So therefore, to find the cost, I'm going to do 0.25 times 500. So I'm going to replace X with my 500 plus 2100. So we'll bring out our handy dandy calculator. So this will be 500 times 0.25, which is 125 plus 2100. So that'd be 2,225. So 2,225 would be my total amount of money. All right, let's look at B. B says, what are the fixed costs? All right, so fixed costs is the same thing as your y-intercept. Basically, what's the thing you're going to have to pay no matter what? So in this case, that would be my $2,100. So this would be $2,100. So I know it looks like it could be intimidating, but this is pretty much it. So it's a fixed cost, which basically means 0 bottles will produce. So you plug in a 0, that would cancel out and you'd be left with that. But that's what fixed cost basically means. Let's look at C. It says, what is the increase in cost for each bottle? So when it's looking for the increase or decrease, any of those type of words, that's going to be your slope. So in this case, your increase would be slope. And in this case, that would be dollar. Yeah, no, I don't think they use cents anymore. 25 cents. And that's it. So you had to do a little math and then just pull information regarding to a real life situation. All right, let's do one more word problem. Let's look at number 70. 70 says, sales at Glover's Golf Imperium have been increasing linearly for the past couple of years. Last year's sales were 163,000. This year's sales were 215,000. If sales continue to increase at this linear rate, predict the sales for next year. So when you are going from here to here to here to here, figuring out from year to year, and it's telling you it's linear, all you got to do is find the difference of these two. So basically, how much did it increase? So this would be 215,000 minus 163,000. And we can see that it increased by 52,000. Right? Now, assuming it's linear, that means it'll keep increasing by the exact same amount. So if I added 5,200 here or 52,000 here, I'm going to add 52,000 here to give me my new total for the next predicted year. So all I'm going to do now is take that 215,000 plus the 52,000, and I get $267,000. That would be my prediction. Right? So when it tells you it's linear, that means it's being added or subtracted by the exact same value over and over again. All right, so that will pretty much wrap up 3.4. And if I don't, I gotta recall, that pretty much also wraps up chapter 3. So we're not going to get into anything further in chapter 3. So we won't talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. We're not going to talk about linear inequalities. And that's pretty much it. So we're not going to go over those things. So next week we'll start chapter 4. All righty. So again, hopefully y'all have already finished y'all's tests, got those posted. At any point, if you needed help with that, you should have already let me know. But I'm assuming you're seeing this video as well before the test is officially submitted, because it is also due Sunday as well. All right. But if you ever need any assistance on the test, any of these homeworks or anything like that, please reach out and let me know. Hope you're really enjoying the class. I enjoy teaching it. But other than that, I will see you in the next video. For now.